Welcome to the presentation on elbow wrapping and taping. And this can be done for sprains, strains, and hyperextensions. So again, we can be supporting old injuries, protecting new injuries. Okay? We can have three different areas of injury in the elbow. We can have the inside of the elbow, or the sprain to the MCL ligament, sprain to the outside, or the LCL ligament. And we can also have a hyperextension injury where the arm has extended too far or straightened too far. And then we're generally going to have pain in through the middle of the front of the elbow here. Now when we position them, they should be with the arm partially bent. We always want the palm facing upwards. Okay? And it's best to have the person lay their arm on something. So you might have the elbow laying on a table like here. You might have them standing so their wrist is laying on the table. Or you could have them put their hand on you. So if they were standing and you're opposite them, their hand could be on your body. And I'm going to cover wrapping the elbow first and taping the elbow second. This is just like when we did the knee. So it's the same process. We just use different materials. And we're going back to that figure 8 technique where we have the continuous 8 and that X that's in the middle of the 8 is over the painful area or the area to protect. Now I'm going to demonstrate wrapping for hyperextension of the elbow. That's where we straightened it too far and have pain in this middle of the elbow. And that's just because it's most common. So we're going to start with the tensor on the bicep or on the upper arm, just to the outside, cross down in front of the elbow joint and over to the inside of the forearm. Then it's going to come around behind the forearm to the outside. We cross back up across the elbow joint to the inside of the upper arm and then back around to where we started. We're going to take about half of the stretch out of the tensor as we wrap, and we're going to continue on with that process, wrapping down across the elbow joint, around the forearm, back across the elbow joint, around the back of the upper arm, and we're going to carry on until we're done the tensor. Once we're done, we're going to put a piece of white tape to hold it in place. If this was all you were doing, you'd want to have at least 2, if not 3, 6-inch pieces of white tape to hold that down. But we're going to move right into taping with elastic tape, so we'll just pin this in place. Again, like we did with the knee, you can start when you're going to use elastic tape with the Pro Wrap, and you're going to cover the entire area to protect the skin. But remember, your tape does have to touch the skin both at the top on the upper arm and at the bottom on the forearm. Otherwise, as soon as they extend that arm and straighten it out, all of your tape will come down into the elbow. So we're going to start up at the upper arm to the outside, cross in front of the elbow joint down to the forearm, around behind the forearm, crossing the elbow joint again to the inside of the upper arm, and around the back. We're going to take about half of the stretch out of the elastic tape as we wrap. You can continue on this process. You can do 2 to 3 continuous wraps. So remember, we're not ripping the tape each time. Once you're done, you're going to put 2 to 3 strips of the white tape so that you hold that elastic tape in place. I'm going to walk you through this now, wrapping followed by taping. So again, you can see that we have them on a table, elbow supported. We're starting with the tensor bandage, taking about half of that tension out. We're going to pull down in front of the elbow joint, down around the forearm, back up around the upper arm. And then we're going to hold that in place with some white tape. Again, you'd use a far longer piece and more if this was all you were going to do. With the elastic tape, same starting point, up on the side of the upper arm, cross the elbow joint, around the forearm, cross the elbow joint again, and around the upper arm. Taking about half the stretch out of that elastic tape. I'm going to do 2 wraps here, and then just adhere that down. And again, we use the white tape to make sure that elastic tape doesn't come off. You want at least 2 or 3, at least 6 to 8 inch pieces, so that you make sure that you have all of that elastic tape stuck down. And just like with the wrist, make sure that you check that what you've done is actually holding that elbow joint in place. If it's not, you're going to need to start again and make sure they start with their elbow more bent. So, things to remember, the X needs to be where the pain is. So if they have hurt the outside ligament, the lateral collateral ligament, your X is going to be out here by the white arrow. If they have hurt the inside, the MCL ligament, your X is going to be over here by the red arrow. And like I taped here, if they have a hyperextension injury, they're going to have pain in this area. So your X is going to be here at the front of the elbow. If the tape job is getting too tight, they're going to feel like they're either getting a cramp in the forearm. They might also, though, feel like they're getting tingling into their fingers. And that's when you know you're affecting the circulation. So you're going to need to decrease either how tight you're pulling or how much of the tension you're taking out of the tensor or the elastic tape. Again, you can always play with how many wraps you do and the strength of the pull so that you create the best tape job for each person. Remember to always ensure your tape is removed when activity is done, and don't ever sleep with your tape on. We're going to finish up this course with the next module, which is shoulder taping. And for more information on healthy living or to see my other courses, please check out thehealingpath.com.